Have you ever noticed that the hardest battles in life leave no scars? No blood, no witnesses, no applause. Yet every single morning, you wake up already exhausted. Your mind races before your feet even touch the floor. Pressure tightens around your chest. Deadlines, expectations, fear of falling behind, fear that you're not doing enough, or worse, that you'll never become who you know you could be. And still, the world expects you to smile, to perform, to keep moving like nothing is happening. This is the invisible war, and most people lose it every day without realizing they ever fought. They react instead of choosing. They let fear decide their next move. They surrender their power to circumstances, emotions, and opinions they cannot control. But what if I told you there is a way to become untouchable in this chaos? Not louder, not aggressive, but unshakable. A mindset so disciplined, so grounded, that pressure sharpens you instead of breaking you. A presence so solid that people feel it before you speak. A strength that commands respect without demanding it. Today, you're stepping inside the mind of a man who mastered this long before modern psychology gave it a name. A warrior who didn't just defeat opponents. He defeated himself. Miyamoto Musashi, the man who conquered himself. Musashi lived in 17th century Japan. A world of chaos, violence, and constant uncertainty. War was normal. Death was close. Weakness was punished. At just 13 years old, he fought his first real duel. And he won. That single moment ignited a journey that would turn him into legend. Over 60 duels. Not one recorded loss. But here's what most people misunderstand. Musashi wasn't unbeatable because he was physically superior. He was unbeatable because he understood something most people never do. Backhand index pointing right, the mind is the ultimate weapon. While other warriors obsessed over technique, Musashi trained perception. While others sharpened blades, he sharpened discipline. While others feared defeat, he studied it. He became more than a swordsman. He became a strategist, a philosopher, an artist. His teachings were later preserved in the Book of Five Rings, a manual not just for combat, but for life itself. And what's most terrifying, many of his battles were won before the sword was drawn. Opponents would see him, feel his presence, and withdraw, not because of fear alone, but because they sensed something solid, composed, inevitable. This wasn't arrogance. It was inner mastery. What is the monster mindset? Let's be clear. This has nothing to do with rage. Nothing to do with cruelty. Nothing to do with domination. The monster mindset is controlled power. It's the ability to remain calm when others collapse. Focused when others panic. Strategic when others react emotionally. Think about the last time life hit you hard. Confrontation. A financial blow. A loss you didn't see coming. How did you respond? Most people spiral. They make impulsive decisions. They freeze or explode. Musashi saw these moments differently. To him, adversity wasn't an enemy. It was a teacher. Pain became information. Fear became feedback. Difficulty became training. The monster mindset asks one question in every crisis. What is this here to teach me? Turns discomfort into growth, pressure into precision, fear into strategy. And science now confirms what Musashi knew centuries ago. Mental strength can be trained. Modern neuroscience shows that individuals who consistently face stress with discipline and awareness physically rewire their brains, strengthening emotional control and resilience. You don't become strong by avoiding hardship. You become strong by standing inside it without breaking. The first law of inner power. Musashi's philosophy begins with a brutal truth. The way is in training, not when you feel inspired, not when conditions are perfect, not when motivation shows up. Every day, training isn't dramatic. It's repetitive. It's boring. It's uncomfortable. And that's why it works. Musashi didn't repeat sword movements because he lacked skill. He repeated them because mastery is built in repetition under discipline. Excellence is not an event. It's a habit. Your routine is your battlefield. Every task, every choice, every moment you show up when you don't feel like it, that is training. And every day you skip it, someone else gets ahead. Not because they're better than you, but because they're more consistent. Power without strategy is chaos, and chaos always destroys its owner first. Miyamoto Musashi understood this early. He didn't swing his sword emotionally. He didn't move out of anger or impulse. Every action had intent. Every strike carried calculation. This is the second law of the monster mindset. Understand damage and benefit in all things. Musashi knew that even victory could carry hidden costs, and that some defeats, if studied, could create unstoppable strength. Most people live their lives chasing what feels good now. Comfort, approval, distraction. They avoid pain without realizing they are also avoiding growth. They choose the easy conversation instead of the honest one. They choose short-term pleasure over long-term power. They choose safety over purpose. Musashi never made decisions like that. He thought in layers, in consequences, in outcomes. Before every move, he asked, what does this create? The war most people lose daily. Every decision you make is shaping you. Not someday. Not in theory. Right now. The food you eat. The habits you tolerate. The people you allow close to you. The thoughts you entertain. Most people don't decide consciously. They react. They scroll when they should reflect. They numb when they should confront. They delay when they should act. Musashi treated life like a long campaign. Sometimes retreat was necessary. Sometimes sacrifice was required. Sometimes short-term loss was the price of long-term dominance. This is what separates warriors from spectators. Ask yourself before every major choice, does this move me closer to who I want to become? Does this strengthen my discipline or weaken it? Am I choosing comfort or growth? Because here's the truth no one likes to hear. If something feels good but costs you your future, it's not a reward. It's a trap. Living with strategy is living with power. What to avoid is just as important as what to pursue. Musashi didn't just train in what to do. He trained in what to avoid. Modern life is full of silent enemies, endless distractions, toxic relationships, comfort disguised as peace, busyness disguised as progress. None of these destroy you instantly. They erode you slowly. A wasted hour here, a compromised standard there, until one day you look in the mirror and don't recognize the person staring back. Strategic people protect their energy. They choose their battles. They don't attend every argument they're invited to. Every yes is also a no to something else. And if you don't choose intentionally, life will choose for you. The third law, see what others miss. Musashi wrote, perceive that which cannot be seen with the eye. This sounds mystical. It's not. It's awareness refined by discipline. Musashi didn't rely on strength alone. He read posture, timing, breath, intention. He sensed shifts before they happened. Most people move through life asleep. They don't read rooms. They don't read people. They don't even read themselves. They speak when silence would be power. They rush when patience would win. They commit when they should observe. Awareness gives you unfair advantages. You notice tension before conflict. You sense dishonesty before betrayal. You feel when something is off before damage is done. This isn't intuition by luck. It's perception trained through presence. When you stop living on autopilot, patterns reveal themselves. And once you see patterns, you can predict outcomes. The fourth law, adapt or become obsolete. Musashi never fought the same way twice. Same stance doesn't win every battle. Same plan doesn't survive every reality. He adjusted rhythm. He adjusted distance. He adjusted strategy. Rigid minds break under pressure. Flexible minds survive and then dominate. Most people cling to failing plans because their ego can't handle change. They say, this is just how I am. This is how it's always been. This should have worked. But life doesn't care about what should work. If something isn't working, change it. If a strategy failed, refine it. If you fell, stand differently. Failure isn't the problem. Refusing to adapt is. The monster mindset treats every setback as data, not as a verdict on your worth. Becoming unbreakable in real life. Philosophy means nothing if it collapses under pressure. The real test of the monster mindset isn't on a battlefield. It's in your everyday life, where no one applauds your discipline, and no one sees the wars you win internally. This is where most people fail. They love the idea of strength, but they don't want the responsibility that comes with it. Musashi didn't just think like a warrior. He lived like one. And this is where his teachings become dangerous in the best way. The battlefield of work and pressure. Think about your work life. Deadlines closing in. Expectations stacking up. Egos, politics, uncertainty. Most people crack here. They react emotionally. They complain. They blame managers, systems, luck. But Musashi never reacted. He responded. When facing a superior opponent, he didn't rush. He observed, adjusted, executed. Applying this mindset at work means mastering what you can control. You can't control your boss's mood, market conditions, office politics, but you can control your preparation, your professionalism, your response under pressure. And here's the truth. The calmest person in the room becomes the leader, whether they have the title or not. When others panic, you analyze. When others rush, you slow down. When others complain, you execute. That presence alone makes you valuable. Not because you're loud, but because you're reliable when it matters. Why calm is a weapon. Pressure reveals character. Anyone can perform when conditions are easy, but adversity exposes who you really are. Musashi trained for chaos. He expected difficulty. He welcomed resistance. When pressure hits and you don't break, people notice. They trust you. They follow you. They give you responsibility. Not because you demand respect, but because your behavior earns it. This is inner authority, and it can't be faked. The war inside relationships. Now look at your relationships. How many conflicts didn't need to happen? How many arguments escalated because no one paused? How many connections were damaged by emotional reactions? Most people fight to win arguments. Warriors fight to preserve what matters. Musashi read intent before movement. You must learn to read emotion before reaction. This means listening instead of interrupting, pausing instead of exploding, choosing silence when ego wants noise. Strength in relationships isn't domination. It's control. The strongest people aren't those who overpower others. They're those who can regulate themselves. Sometimes the most powerful move is not speaking. Sometimes it's setting a boundary. Sometimes it's admitting fault. Winning an argument can cost you a relationship. Winning yourself protects it. Mastering emotional warfare. Most conflicts aren't about the surface issue. They're about respect, validation, security. When you learn to see beneath words, you stop fighting shadows. You respond to the real problem, not the symptom. This is advanced strength. And very few people ever reach it. Personal development, the final frontier. This is the hardest battlefield of all. You versus your excuses. You versus fear. You versus procrastination. That voice that says, wait until you're ready. You need more experience. What if you fail? Musashi didn't wait. He trained while he fought. Every mistake became information. Every loss became refinement. Readiness is not a prerequisite. Action creates readiness. The monster mindset sees everything as training. That presentation you're afraid of? Training ground. That business idea that scares you? Training ground. That difficult conversation you've been avoiding? Training ground. There is no defeat for those who refuse to stop learning. Life will not be gentle, but you can become stronger than what life throws at you. The daily ritual of a warrior. Here's the truth most people avoid. Goals don't change lives. Systems do. Motivation fades. Discipline compounds. Musashi didn't wake up every day feeling powerful. He became powerful because he lived by structure, especially when he didn't feel like it. The difference between those who talk about strength and those who embody it is ritual, not complicated, not dramatic, relentless. Morning. Set the intention. Before the world gets a chance to touch you, before the phone, the noise, the chaos, you decide who you're going to be today. Ask yourself one question. What am I here to conquer today? Not 10 things. 1. Procrastination, fear, comfort, discipline. Write it down. Writing turns thought into command. It forces clarity. It removes escape routes. A warrior enters the day with purpose, not hope. Daytime, strategic action. Next, choose one action that proves your intention. Not busy work, not distraction. A symbolic act of discipline. Training when you'd rather rest. Reading when you'd rather scroll. Speaking when silence feels safer. Staying silent when ego wants noise. Do it with full presence. This isn't about productivity. It's about alignment. Every action either sharpens you or dulls you. Choose accordingly. Evening, reflection without lies. At the end of the day, you review the battle. Not with judgment, with honesty. Ask, where did I act with strength? Where did I react emotionally? What did today teach me? What must improve tomorrow? This is not self-criticism. This is self-mastery. Musashi sharpened his sword daily. You sharpen your mind. This ritual, repeated consistently, creates something dangerous. Self-trust. And once you trust yourself, fear loses its power. Why this works? Because discipline rewires identity. You stop asking, can I do this? And start saying, this is who I am. People who follow structured daily practices don't just perform better. They feel more grounded, more confident, more in control. Not because life gets easier, but because they get stronger. The final truth. You don't need to live in feudal Japan to be a warrior. The real battlefield is inside you. Every morning, every decision, every moment you choose comfort or courage. Musashi's legacy isn't about killing opponents. It's about conquering fear, mastering impulse, living with intention. The mind you build today determines the battles you win tomorrow. So now I ask you, what battle are you going to win today? Decide. Commit. If this message moved you, share it with someone who's fighting silently. Subscribe, stay sharp, and remember, cross swords, the monster isn't the one who rages. It's the one who never backs down.